We've gotten 4 Hills Have Eyes movies over the years, so let's rank them. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a good one today. I'm the movie ranker, and today I'm ranking all 4 Hills Have Eyes movies from worst to best. Before we get into it, make sure you drop your ranking down in the comments section. We'll have a great discussion about it. Like the video, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future rankings. This is not exactly my franchise. It does has its ups, but it certainly has its downs as well. So without wasting any more time, let's get into it. So for me, easily coming into last place at number 4, I'm going with The Hills Have Eyes Part 2, the 80s sequel. Wow, what a terrible movie. Really scraping the bottom of the barrel with this one. Even Wes Craven basically disowns it. He basically says he just did it for a paycheck. They wouldn't even let him finish the movie. They cut him off due to budget restraints. So he had to finish the movie with flashback scenes, literally, of the original film, which are probably the best parts of this film, to be honest, because this is a rough one. It's just so dull, so boring. It lacks the tension and atmosphere created in the original film. It lacks all that. The tone's a little bit silly at times. Like, we get the mutants driving around on dirt bikes and stuff. It's like, what is going on? Like, how'd they get so good at riding those? And we only get 2 mutants this time around. Michael Berryman returns as one of them, as Pluto. He died in the first one, and they're going to bring him back and try to say that, no, he's all right now. It's like ridiculous. And our other mutant is like the main lead. He's the Reaper, and he's supposed to be the brother of Jupiter from the first film. And it's like, impossible. He didn't have a brother. Like, have you guys... I know Wes Craven wrote both of these, but like, he really wasn't thinking when he wrote that. And where was the Reaper the whole time during the first film? So many questions that I asked myself when I watched this film. But yeah, it is so forgettable. It feels cheap due to its budget, but the lighting's bad. It's hard to see half the movie. It takes place in the dark. Are the good guys, the good characters in this are all forgettable as well. We do get Ruby back, who goes by Rachel now. She was one of the survivors of the first movie. She was actually one of the mutant people who turned good. She was a kid. She returns in this, and she's kind of set up in the first act in a way that you're like, okay, she's going to go back and maybe fight them off, kill the rest of them off for good. But no, we don't really get any redeemable arc with her or anything. She just walks around like the rest of them until she gets killed. And the kills aren't anything exciting either. There's only one that was kind of cool. It was where the Reaper like bear hugs someone and crushes their bones and that. It's okay, but nothing memorable about this movie one bit. It's pretty terrible. And it's one thing to have flashback scenes in your movie, but this one has flashbacks from multiple people and even the dog. Like, come on, Beast has flashbacks. Beast was arguably the best character in the first movie. He is definitely the best character in this movie because, yeah, it is dumb. He gets another kill in here at least, but yeah, dumb movie, a terrible sequel that should have never existed. So, easily last place. Up next at number 3, we got The Hills Have Eyes Part 2. This is a sequel to the remake, the 2000s one. And yeah, a pretty bad movie as well. Just maybe a bit better than the last one I mentioned. It looks a bit better, like it's shot better, competently. You can tell it had a bit more of a budget, but still, you can tell it was still a rushed sequel. It's just so boring again and dull. And it's basically the whole movie are this army crew going up the mountain and having to find a way back down while they're getting picked off by these mutants. The mutants really have no personality at all. You find out that they're keeping the women for breeding and then killing them and just killing off any men that they come into contact with. Kind of interesting, but that's literally it to the mutants. Aside from them being like reptilian in this one. There's one that's like a lizard. Another guy who has like scales, almost like he's a rock dude. I'm like, okay, they're going a little far with the mutant aspect of this, you know, a little farther than what I would have liked. At least give them some sort of personality, but they don't really have anything. That's one thing I really liked about the original film with our villains. But even our main leads here, all the army people, they're all just throwaway characters. It's a very bland story. Like I said, it's just them going up the mountain and basically coming back down and trying to survive. It's just very boring, very bland. Not much to it, to tell you the truth. No real good kills or characters or nothing. So this one is just a little bit better than the 80s one. It's not as cheap, but it's still not a good film. Coming up next at number 2, I'm going with the original Hills Have Eyes from the 70s. Um, I would say this would could be considered a Wes Craven classic. It's good enough, I feel. It definitely gets the tension right, and it just feels dirty and gritty. Definitely has that grindhouse type feel to it, which is great. A little psychological at times. I like the villains in here, the whole family, and how they all have like names of planets, like Jupiter and Pluto and all that. That's kind of interesting, and they actually have personality in here. Each character kind of stands out on their own. They kind of feel more like Neanderthals than mutants, but I kind of like that aspect of it. And they're still really evil in that you get straight up cannibalism in here, and they're eating dogs as well, and there's torture and there's sexual abuse and all that in here. So they're definitely disgusting, vile characters. They really pull that off. Unfortunately, our main characters, our good guys, are very hit and miss. Most of them are annoying, especially the Brenda character. And yeah, they make a lot of bad decisions, let's just say that, and they get me yelling at the screen a lot. Like I said, a Beast, the dog, is definitely the smartest and best character in this entire flick. You get a lot of great scenes. You're like, hell yeah, when the Beast is attacking those mutant hill people. And I do like that one of them, like the kid Ruby, how she's kind of good and trying to help out these folks. And there's some good social commentary in here, on these rich, conservative type characters showing up in the desert amongst these completely different walks of life. These creatures, almost like cavemen on these mountains, who are very vile in that. They come from two different sides of life, but these mutant people see them as a threat just as much as the other way around. So there's some interesting discussion to be had there. The ending kind of just feels like it gets cut off in this one. You feel like there should be more. It just kind of ends in the middle of like the action scene. If you've seen the movie, you know what I mean when they're fighting one of the last mutants. And I don't like how it cut off like that either. But pretty decent film. There's some funny parts in it as well. Like most of the movie has a dark tone and it's gritty, like I said. But there is one scene where they trick Papa Jupe by putting out their dead mom as bait and setting up like a Looney Tunes trap with rope. And he happens to walk in where the rope is, and they haul him and everything. It's like, man, that's such like a Roadrunner type thing, or Bugs Bunny. It's like, that's kind of cheesy. But everything else is fairly disgusting and vile in this movie, which is what it should be in this type of horror movie. I think he got that down pat. The story could have been improved on, and so the characters, but I think this is still a fun watch. The concept is so good, I think that's what gets me to return all the time. While the execution isn't quite there, I think it still deserves a passing grade. But for me, coming in the first place, I have to give it to The Hills Have Eyes, the remake from 2006, I believe, from the 2000s anyway. And yeah, this is a lot of people's favorite in the franchise, and I can see why. The first 2/3 of this is basically like a remake, straight up remake of the original. They tweak a few things, but for the most part, it stays true to the original. But I do like what they do on the back half. The last act is completely different. We get like a whole nuke town and everything, and all these mutants running it, and it's very interesting. It's just much more of a thrilling final act than the original, I feel. And the mutants themselves, oh my god, they're definitely mutated in this one. They look extremely disgusting and like boils over them and disconfigured and everything. They definitely up that. And the violence, the gore, the vileness of everything is turned up to 110. They really cranked up everything in that regards, especially the whole scene where they go in the trailer and are fighting the family. It is very intense in here. It's intense in the original, but they really modernized it here. And yeah, it's a film that you almost need to take a shower after you watch it. You feel dirty. So I think they did a great job with that and really upping the stakes, upping the tension, upping everything, the gore and the violence. There's some scenes that are pretty hard to watch in here. And the main characters as well, while some of them are still stupid, some of them are still annoying, I think they're a bit better than the original. And that one dude who has the baby, who, you know, goes on his mission in both the original and the remake, I feel like he's done better in here. He has more of an arc, more of a satisfying storyline. At the very first, it's clear that he is not in the violence and the using guns or anything like that, and he's much more liberal than conservative in that sense. But by the end, he becomes savage and everything, and has to do what it takes to survive, which almost turns him into basically like one of these creatures himself. But I like all the social commentary and the themes surrounding all that. So yeah, I feel like they did fix the original a bit, even though I still like certain aspects of that original film a little bit better. This one, I believe, is the clear winner when it comes to this franchise. It's one of the only modern remakes I find better than the original, which is also rare, but it's still not like one of my favorite films or anything. I think it's good, but it's not amazing or anything. And due to the subject matter, it's not one that I throw in all that often, but it still clearly comes in the first place. So there you have it, guys. There's my ranking of all 4 Hills Have Eyes movies. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm surprised they didn't make any more of these films. I'm kind of glad, because most likely it would have went off the rails like the 2 sequels did. So like I said earlier, let me know how you rank these films down in the comment sections. Do you like them? Do you hate them? Let me know. I'm kind of mixed on most of them. I do enjoy the original and the remake, but yeah, those sequels are so goddamn bad that I'm kind of glad we never got a franchise out of here. But make sure to follow me on Letterboxd and Instagram. Links to those are always in the description of my videos, guys. Yeah, like I said, drop your rankings and everything. We'll have a great discussion. I will return with more franchise rankings, so stay tuned for that. And until next time, thanks for watching.